It's 8 a.m. Thanks so much for waking up with us this morning for Daybreak. I'm Nina Harrelson.
You're still tracking some possibilities for severe weather, but we don't know what's going to happen just yet.
He thinks the guy slipped right through this broken security gate, which he says he's complained about repeatedly. A sign on the gate says the building is protected by video surveillance, but he says management here told detectives those cameras don't even work.
We have a breaking news update for you right now on that manhunt in South Memphis that we first told you about at the beginning of the show.
Don't look. Don't look. You doing it. You got it. Don't let go. Don't let go. Hold him tight. Hold him tight.
Don't let go. Look right here, Nina. Nina, look at me now.
A rescue operation to save dozens of dogs went terribly wrong when a van driving the animals to Minnesota broke down on I-55. She says it's her famous catchphrase, but Cardi B won't be getting a trademark for the phrase, "Oh, how was that?" Lily Jordan is a normal teen who has faced extraordinary challenges, diagnosed with a rare bone cancer when she was just 13. And health officials in Texas say travelers on some flights last month may have been exposed to measles.
The couple who lives here tells me they are just lucky to be alive after this enormous tree came crashing down onto their house overnight.
The smell of gasoline still lingers in the air here, and this is what's left of those cars.
We wanted to ask those questions ourselves, but when we got here this morning, we found this sign saying that they are closed and won't be reopening until Monday.
And this forecast could change depending on what the groundhog says.
I'm done.
Bye.
That's it.
The sad reality is, by the end of this story, 7 people will have died in a suicide. You hear the stories all the time. You may even know someone who's killed themselves. But if you've ever considered taking your own life, one Mid-South man is here to tell you it gets better.
That's a plane?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Life for 35-year-old Josh Eldred is good now. He's been married for 11 years and is a proud father of 10.
The one day you have like more dirt than you know what to do with and you're not going to play in it?
But what you probably wouldn't guess by looking at him is that he tried to take his own life twice and survived.
I was really sad and lonely, and I couldn't come up with a reason to want to be here anymore, because if this is as good as life was going to get, then I didn't want it. I didn't even want to try.
He says his depression began around the age of 12 after years of physical abuse.
I would smile a lot. I would tell everybody that I was fine, but I really wasn't. Just a lot of feelings of worthlessness, uselessness.
As a teen, those feelings intensified.
I hated the world. I hated everything in the world, including myself.
To Eldred's friends and family, his pain was obvious, but no one seemed to know how to help, and he struggled with explaining the internal battle he was facing.
But a lot of times in depression, you know, we don't know what's going on. So when someone is like, hey, like, I'm worried about you, like, what's wrong, what's going on? We can't just single out one factor of our life, because a lot of our depression is a series of events and they're all linked to each other.
At 19, Eldred set out to end it for good, making the decision to kill himself.
The world really fell away. I felt really alone. I felt really sad.
His attempt was thwarted when his roommate found him clinging to life in his bedroom and rushed him to the hospital. Doctors said Eldred actually died on the emergency room table that day, flatlining before being brought back to life. But just 2 years later, he tried to kill himself again.
Went from, I feel like I'm feeling okay, to I'm bad. I'm not doing okay. I'm not doing okay at all. It's kind of like being tossed into the ocean. Waves are rolling around. You have about a half a second to breathe before you get drugged back under. And
the depression wasn't going away, and Eldred finally realized it never would unless something changed. He started working as a live-in care provider for elderly people with disabilities. That led to a job working with troubled kids who struggled with some of the same issues he had his entire life.
I felt like my life had a purpose at this point. I'm caring for people. These people need me, and I needed them, because without them, I didn't feel like I was anything.
Those experiences brought Eldred here to Turning Point, a recovery center for adults battling drug and alcohol addictions and behavioral disorders, where he now works as a recovery coach.
So you guys teach us probably about as much as we teach you, really, at the end of the day.
A job that to him doesn't really feel like work, because he gets to use his experience to help others.
I want to make sure other people are okay, because I wasn't. and I want to make sure that those people have somebody to talk to.
His depression hasn't gone away. Those feelings still show up from time to time.
My depression, like as an analogy, is in a little box in my mind on the shelf collecting dust. But like I said, there are times where life goes out of whack and I still get a glimpse of those feelings, but I want to make sure that that box never opens again and that those feelings and emotions don't overtake me ever again.
But the thoughts of suicide are gone, and he wants other people grappling with similar feelings to know there is hope.
You can change it, you can make it better, but you have to want to make it better. You have to let go of some things. You have to learn to change your mindset, because there's just as much good in this world as there is bad. And if you're always looking at the bad, you're always gonna find the bad. It's not hard to do. I've been there, I've been through the emotions, I've come out on the other side.
Whoa! Whoa!
Nina Harrelson, WREG, News Channel 3.
Go, go, go. Get it, girl. Don't let it go. Don't let go. Don't let go. No, you got it. Don't look. Don't look. Don't look. You're doing it. You got it. Don't let go. Don't let go. Hold him tight. Hold him tight.
Don't let go. Look right here, Nina. Nina, look at me now.
Yeah. Don't.
A 3-hour drive southwest of Memphis, in the heart of the Mississippi Delta, sits scenic Lake Washington, where you'll find these good old country boys with an unusual idea of a good time.
Oh, he ain't happy. He ain't happy. He got it. Yeah, he got it. He got it.
You may call it stupid, but they call it snake grabbing. And believe it or not, this is what they do for fun.
Nothing else like it.
These aren't your average rednecks. When they're not seeking out slithering serpents, they're looking for bad guys. They all work in law enforcement, from sheriff's offices to the Mississippi Bureau of Narcotics and the Highway Patrol. But snakes are what brings them together.
I'm like, them fools showing off they got bit.
It all began with Jimmy Nichols more than 10 years ago.
Jimmy, why?
I don't know.
Growing up in the country, he's always had a thing for snakes, and one by one recruited the other guys. Some a little easier to convince than others.
Go catch snakes. I said, yeah. I said, with what? And they said, our hands. Like, sign me up. I'm in. Let's go. So we've been doing it ever since.
And when I first saw the video, Shane tried to get me to come out there with them, and I said what everybody else says. I said, that's the dumbest thing I've ever seen, no.
But soon enough, he found himself on the fast track to snake hunting.
Just kind of took off. We started grabbing snakes. People thought we were crazy, I guess.
The rest, as they say, is history.
To me, it's just, it's adrenaline rush. It's getting together with guys, doing things together. It's just a camaraderie.
You get out here and you see a snake that's 5 or 6 feet long. It's as bigger than your arm. And you just look at it and go, if he bites me anywhere, it's going to hurt really bad. And that's just the rush.
Their bizarre hobby even landed them a short run on CMT Canada with their own show, Mississippi Snake Grabbers. That turned into a snake hunting business back here at home called Grab You One Outfitters. They take people on guided tours and even host an annual snake grabbing rodeo. But to understand why they do it,
What happened to 1, 2, 3? What happened to 1, 2, 3 grab?
All right, let's go grab some snakes.
I wanted to really get inside the mind of a snake grabber and try it for myself, or at least that's what I told myself.
You'll get the full experience and you'll know exactly why we do this.
But before I find myself waist deep in snake-infested waters,
What are the odds I'm gonna get bitten today?
100% chance.
and with that comforting glimpse into my future, we're off. There's an art to snake grabbing, and it begins by knowing where to look and what to look for.
There's another one on the other limb. What we got?
Snakes like to sunbathe on low-lying branches, and the guys can tell by looking which ones are venomous and which ones aren't. So we quietly sneak up on them in the boat and get into the freezing lake, a decision I instantly regret.
Can we reschedule this for like July?
But at this point, I'm committed to grabbing my first snake, whether I want to or not.
Oh, it hurt. When you get bit on the finger is when it hurts.
Watching them get bitten one by one, I can't help but wonder why I agreed to this. But they warmed me up to the idea by letting me hold a small snake at first. Meanwhile, my photographer Jonathan gets his chance.
Don't think about it. Just reach up there and grab it.
It turns out snake grabbing isn't his thing.
Oh! That's what happens.
As for me, it takes a while to find the courage.
Stay low. Stay low.
But a couple of hours into our adventure, I decide it's now or never.
You grab him and just don't look. Grab him and don't look and be quick about it, okay? You can do it. This is your chance.
Pull him off. Yeah, grab him, pull him off. Go. Get him, girl. Don't let go. Don't let go. No, you got it. Don't look. You doing it. You got it. Don't let go. Don't let go. Hold him tight. Hold him tight.
Don't let go. Look right here, Nina. Nina, look at me now.
Yeah. Don't. You got him. She did it.
No.
Oh, you got bit for nothing. Hey. But she got bit.
Okay,
Awesome.
we can officially go back to Memphis. I did it.
All right, so I may not be an expert snake grabber, but the guys tell me I've already gotten further on my redneck snake adventure than any other reporter ever has. And even most of them didn't catch a snake on their first try.
How'd I do?
You scored 100 out of 100. You did outstanding. It's rare when we come out here and people come for their first experience if they catch their first snake.
If nothing else, I leave with some bragging rights, no matter how stupid the challenge.
I'm glad that's over.
In Chatham, Mississippi, Nina Harrelson, WREG, News Channel 3. Good morning and thanks for joining us. I'm Nina Harrelson. Barry is expected to weaken to a tropical depression today, but the system is still posing some serious threats. Back here in the Mid-South, we are seeing storms moving in this morning. Weather expert Austin Onek joins us now with some details on where we could see the heaviest rainfall. Good morning, Austin. Happening today in anticipation of that flooding, sandbags will be available to those of you in Crittenden County, Arkansas. Now to some breaking news that happened overnight in southeast Memphis. A man was shot to death at a gas station, and this morning, police are still looking for his killer. A disturbing incident in Midtown. Dozens of kids may have seen a registered sex offender exposing himself right outside their preschool. Some of the founders of Memphis in May want Mayor Jim Strickland to step up in the saga over the future of the Memphis riverfront. Terrifying moments for a woman driving on I-240 this weekend. Next on Daybreak, she explains what went through her mind as bullets started flying into her car. A terrifying drive ends with a mom of three thanking God for what she calls a miracle. She survived a shooting Friday night on a Memphis interstate. It's at least the 31st highway shooting in the city just this year. In an interview you'll see only on News Channel 3, the victim told me she didn't even have a chance to see who did it.
That's the one that came past my face.
3 bullet holes now adorn Sharon Norfleet's SUV after someone shot it up as she merged onto I-240 from Perkins around 10 Friday night.
I kept hearing pow, pow, pow. I thought it was backfire from a truck or something.
One of the bullets whizzed through her passenger window, narrowly missing her head before going out through the windshield in front of her.
Straight past my face and went through the window. I can't do anything but thank God. Because if you're looking at it, there was no way it shouldn't have hit me in the head.
It all happened so fast, she never even saw the car it came from, and says she wasn't involved in any kind of argument and didn't cut anyone off.
I was just scared. I was just saying, Lord, just stay with me. Lord, just stay with me. Let me make it home. Lord, please just let me make it home.
Instead of going home, she drove straight to a police precinct. And in her SUV, she says they found 2 of those bullets. What she's most thankful for
Did you want to get in the car?
Is that none of her 3 young kids were with her.
It could have been innocent babies in there. I mean, we gotta stop doing what we're doing.
And since Norfleet didn't see the gunman, police are hoping someone else did. And police increased their presence on the interstates in the past few months as we've seen dozens of shootings, but they've only caught 4 of the suspects so far. They urge you, if you see anyone driving aggressively or anyone with a weapon on the roads, call 911 immediately. We're keeping a close eye on the weather this morning as a tropical storm makes its way north. Weather expert Austin Onek is tracking Barry's path. He'll have the latest on rainfall projections here in the Mid-South when Daybreak returns. Today, U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement plans to begin raids across the country. Many DAs are perceived as hardcore, heartless prosecutors, and sometimes they have to be. But as WRAG's Greg Hirsch shows us, a DA who prosecutes cases in the northern part of the Magnolia State may not be the man you thought he'd be. Creekmore covers 7 counties and 8 courthouses. The next election is this fall, and Creekmore is running unopposed. Have a great day.